As always, when you're handling solder and solder frocks, use protective gloves and solder fume extractor. Okay, the problem we have here is this motherboard do not have VGA port output, as you can see here. Hopefully you can. Let me just twist the board. There you go. So there's no VGA output, so the output is solely dependent on the video card. The problem we have here, unfortunately, is power on, display comes on, but no display once Windows sort of loaded. So a typical example, let me just sort of turn the device on. Okay, there we go. So the fan's spinning, as you can see, and the display will come up there. Okay, let me sort of get this out. Okay, so it's going through its BIOS post. Yes, let me just press enter on the Windows load. We'll just wait for the Windows to load. And that's it. It will not boot to Windows. That's it. Nothing else will happen. Okay, so let's sort of jump into why it's doing what it's doing. I'll switch off the system. Okay. Switch off the power supply. Let's disconnect the video card and see where the problem is. Get rid of all that. Let's move all this from the bench so I can have a bit more work room. Okay, now here's why it's doing what it's doing. Okay, we've got bloated capacitors. There's three that's bloated. Let me just see if I can sort of get a bit of a clear vision on that. Okay, let's get rid of autofocus. You probably can see it now. There we go. Oops. There we go. Wow, look at that. That, and this one. They're all sort of bloated. And that's the reason why it's doing what it's doing. So we're going to sort of replace them and see what happens. Now the value of the capacitors are, I can just about make it, it says 1500 microfarads, 6.3 volts. These are the ones that haven't bloated. 1000 microfarad 16 volt, 1000 microfarad 16 volt, 1000 microfarad 16 volt. So them three I'm going to only replace this time around. Okay, so let's get a cracking on with this. I'm going to grab a foam pad, turn on my soldering station. And before sort of turning the extractor fan, let's find some capacitors. Actually, let's go into my collection box. So what we're looking for was 1500 microfarad, 6.3 volt. Okay, so what do we have here? Aha, voila. That is it. So we have, let's have a look, 6.3 volt, 1500 microfarad. Okay, so I need three. That will do beautifully. chop the legs out. It's a nightmare to pull them out of this taping, is quite strong. Okay. Now before I put them on, I would like to test them with my ASR machine and make sure that there's nothing wrong with these capacitors. So this is in Peak Atlas ESR Plus, or ESR 70 Plus I should say. Okay, first thing first is I would like to calibrate this. So to do that, hold on to the test on button. It says probe calibration failed. Let's try again. Okay. Press it again. Short the probes and press test again. So I'm going to do that. Short this probe and then press test again. And it comes as okay. It's just gone off now. That's fine. Now let's connect. It doesn't matter which way you sort of attach this crocodile clips. Let's run a test on it. Analyzing, measuring, measures caps at 1650 microfarad. ESR is 0.00 ohms. Okay, so we're quite happy. I'll rerun the test again. Okay, and when it beeps twice, that means that all good to go. When it beeps once, you've got problems. As soon as you attach the clips with this new version, as soon as you attach the clip, it sort of starts doing the test all by itself. So the cap again reads at 1680 microfarad, ESR is 0.00 ohms. Rerun the test again, so it's analysing. Again, similar results. Okay, so we're going to disregard this. Let's go on to the next cap. And as I said, as soon as you connect it, it does the test all by itself. Okay, 694 microfarad, ESR 0.01 ohms. Okay, so let's rerun the test again. Okay, slightly higher on the microfarad, but that's absolutely fine. So we know that these capacitors are good. Let's put them to the side. Put this machine on the side. Let's bring back the graphic card and crack on with the replacement. Right, okay, so first thing first is I need to know which it's going to be them two. So it's this here and one on that side, so it's this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my extractor fan. Okay. It will be a bit noisy, but what do you do? Right, so the best way to remove any sort of lead free solder components is to add leaded solder onto it, and then the removal process is a lot easier. I'm using a Metcal MX5000 series. This is a blade tip. I can't remember the exact model of this blade tip, but I'll probably have a look in eBay and you'll find them pretty cheap. I can't remember, it's SMTC something it is. I can't remember the name, the actual model number, sorry. Right, so what I'm doing now is I'm applying solder onto the existing cap. I can get you a view of doing what I'm doing. Let me just sort of get rid of... I need a bigger bench. I absolutely hate it, but I need a bigger bench. Bring over the extractor fan here, closer to me I should say, because the way the camera setup is done. Let me see if I can... Okay, so I think that's as close as we're going to get. Let's have a look. Yep. Sometimes applying a bit of a flux does help a lot when it comes to removing components, because although you're adding fresh solder onto the joints, the flux makes your life a lot easier. So this is exactly what I'm doing, is I've just literally applied a tiny amount of flux onto the component. Let's see what happens now. I'm struggling to pull out the there we go, so that's out. One out, 2 more to go. I'm going to go with applying a bit more flux. I might as well just do it onto this so it is a bit of a mission to take the caps out. You want the fume extractor as close as possible, and do not breathe the fume. There we go, so those are the 3 capacitors that have come off. Now I'm going to try and use copper braid to get rid of the excess solder. Just gently sort of get rid of the solder. Sometimes if you're in luck, the solder from the inner pad of the PCB will come away. Sometimes it won't do it, so it is not guaranteed, but you can hope for the best. PS4 HDMI change is one of the absolute horrific and horrendous type of thing, because the PCB is so thick that you'd be struggling to try and clear out all the solders from the inner pad of the PCB. And don't worry, if the inner pad of the PCB doesn't clear up, there is don't worry about it. I'll demonstrate how I do that, or how I tackle that issue. So I'll turn the PCB down, upside down, and just sort of if there's anything I can do from this end. Nope. Okay, so still have a little bit of a solder on some of these holes, which effectively means that I can't push the capacitor directly in. I'll make another attempt with a bit of a flux and see if I can clear this this one. Unfortunately won't do it. Let's add a bit of solder, build it back up again, see what it does. The solder inside inside the hole itself could be lead-free solder, so by adding more solder, leaded solder I should say, there's a greater chance of sort of lifting, clearing out the hole. And getting rid of all the shitty solder, and it didn't work either. Right, okay, so we're going to sort of lose hope on this. Right, the next step would be is if you come across with the circumstances where you can't clear the hole and still solder sort of left inside, what you want to do is add a bit more solder and build it back up again. Okay, just like that. Okay, so I've rebuilt it back up, that joint. That hole is sort of almost clear. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to position the capacitor. See, the thing about this PCB is there's no marking, almost there's no marking as to the positive and the negative side of the capacitor. So it got me sort of thinking, because I didn't remember what the orientation of the capacitor was. Now, in a very small print, there is a plus on that side. Here, there's a plus here, and on this one, there's a plus on the top. So I think I've been very lucky this time around. Usually on most of the PCBs, you'd still have the plus and minus sort of a thing, but I think I've been quite lucky. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up, press it down. I may have to do this on a couple of attempts. Press it down and then hold the solder tip, solder iron tip on the back of it, and try to get to it, and that might do it, might not do it. Okay, so the second option, if that doesn't happen, which I normally, it's such a simple thing to do, but sometimes it can drive you absolutely bonkers. Again, applying a bit more flux, and I want to fill those gaps up, which I did just now. Okay, and reapply the tip, and sort of, there we go, and it'll be nice and easy to sort of oops, I pressed it too hard, unfortunately, and I've bent the okay, let's retry this again. So the positive is this side. Can be a bit of a fucking nightmare when coming around changing these caps. Such an easy thing, easy task, but it can turn out to be an absolute fucking fucking nightmare. Line it up again, and I think I've moved away from the top one to the bottom one. I think I may have done that, but hence it doesn't matter. This is taking the piss, this, guys. This is actually taking the piss. This is genuinely taking the piss, the cap. Look, it's stuck here, okay? But I'm not trying to go through the opposite side. It's just becoming a bit of a pain on the ass now. Right, and I've bent it again. Right, okay, get this fucking shit out. You know what? This is a very simple task to change some capacitors, but you will encounter problems like this. and problem like this is just absolute bullshit. I'm going to try a different capacitor actually. Not the fact that there's a problem with the capacitor, absolutely no. There's no issues with the capacitor, but just wanted to change it. Okay, so again, I'm lining it up. Okay, I felt that going in. Do you know something? I am getting a bit wound up here right now. It's a fucking simple task, and it's just taking. Just because the piece, I can't get rid of the. I can't clear the holes on the PCB and solder from the hole itself, and that's what's sort of turning this whole mission into a rabbit hole. So just bear with me. Something that shouldn't be any longer than 15 minutes job will turn out to be an hour, just because of the PCB decides to fuck around. Doing is I'm adding a bit more solder onto the thingy just so it helps, just so that the leaded solder penetrates the hole. So when it comes to sort of using the copper braid, there's a greater chance that the hole will clear up. Solder will sort of, with the surface, with the tension from the copper braid, hopefully it should sort of clear up. I'm going to do this on this side. And apply a bit more flux, because otherwise I'll be here for all night. Flux on the braid, and then try and see what happens. Okay, let's do the same on the fuck you. Get rid of this fan cable. No, this is a hard one. This is a hard one. So I think I'm going to struggle tonight trying to sort the caps out. Seems like it's going to be a hard one, this, unfortunately. But I have no choice, I'm going to have to sort of carry on doing what I'm doing. Excuse me. It's one of the most awkward way to sort of replace capacitors. It's unbelievable, but how such an easy task can turn into an absolute nightmare. I'm not supposed to hold this for that long on the PCB. I'll fuck up the PCB in no time if I carry on like this. The daft thing won't go. It just won't do it. Can't believe this. I can't believe this. Absolutely not. You sort of trim off the edge of the capacitors and just been trimming this off, okay, and just sort of round off the edges. Could that be the oh fuck, holy fuck. Fuck you. Clean that surface off. Coming off. Okay. It's not going to be easy, this. And nor I'm giving up on it. So regardless of how long it takes, I'm going to attempt and attempt time after time until it's done. Fucking unbelievable. Fucking unbelievable. Right, okay. Fuck you, Cap. I'm gonna try something different. As always, needle. And you know what's gonna happen now, don't you? Fuck you. So the needle comes out to the other end. And what do you know? Okay, so now I have my hole cleared. Hopefully I can put the cap back in through that hole. There you go. Okay, so now try to put a capacitor back in. Since I believe I've sorted created the hole. I believe, I didn't say I can. Okay, so those are like the capacitors pin lined up against the hole, and I think we have a better luck this time around. Shit happens. As I said, I'm not giving up on it. And hopefully, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, that was a battle or what? Wow, I can't believe this. Right, okay, so what I've done here is I've poked the bit because the solder was stuck. Let me get this microphone back up again. Okay, so what I've done is I've actually, because the solder was inside the PCB and I could not get it out, what I've done is I've used a pin to pierce through the solder while applying heat from the opposite side and create the hole. So I'm going to do that again. So it's just a tiny pin, place it just behind where the solder hole is, sorry, the hole of the PCB where the capacitor's wire should sort of go through the opposite side, and then sort of apply heat onto the opposite side, and that should sort of create. Saying that, I haven't applied any solder on the on this side, so just let me grab some solder. Because it makes it a lot easier. Okay. So now that's been done, let's place this pin on the opposite side. I just hope I'm not creating a short internally. By forcing the pin. There we go. As you can see, that the pin just came out the opposite way side. Probably going to clear the pin with a bit of a copper braid. Just get rid of excess solder from the pin. And now I'll just apply a bit of heat and gently pull out the pin. I just hope, pray to God that I haven't created a short. Do I still have the hole? I think so. Oh, you can use a bigger pin, it's no big deal. Let's do the same for the other hole. Oh, it's not my day, is it, today? Fucking everything's just gone bonkers. The microphones just keep coming loose. Don't know why it's doing what it's doing. You'd expect something like to be a piece of cake, but unfortunately that is not the case. That is not true. Oh, that fucking comes through pretty well. Let's put, oh, for fuck's sake. Well done. I'll give it another try without sort of making any further. In the meantime, get rid of solders from this. Pins. Let's reattempt and see what happens now. Voila. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There we go. So the second one's just come through. And the third one, that's going to be easy because I did manage to sort of get rid of all the solders from the hole, so it seems to be clear. So that'll be a piece of cake, hopefully. So it should be in this orientation. Okay, so I think there's slight amount of solder on this pin. And as I said, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. That came through quite easily. Thank you, pin. Thank you very much for doing what you just did. Right, I've been on it for too long now. Let's crack on with this. Fucking 3 capacitors that turned my job into an absolute nightmare. Well, 2 I should say. Right, reapply a bit of flux. Just making sure that there is okay. Reform the joints. Okay, so I think we're good to go. So let's clean the tip of the solder cartridge. Okay, and I believe that'll do it. I can turn the extractor fan off now because it's creating a lot of noise and I fucking hate it. Absolutely fucking hate it. It does my head in every time I turn this extractor fan on. It feels like I'm getting a migraine off it. I wish somebody can create a whisper quiet, literally a whisper quiet extractor fan. Or fume extractor. I don't mind pain, but honest to God, this extractor fan does my head in. Okay, in fact what I should have done is cut the pins before cleaning, but what do you know, let's just crack on with this, get it cleaned. Something like this usually is a matter of 10 minutes, if that. But changing 3 capacitors turns out to be a rabbit hole to hell. I bet I could have done a graphic chip reflow with the length of time that it's taken for me to sort of sort this out. Right, the excess tip will be chopped off. Just avoid any sort of short. No, because it's not in contact. Just yeah. If these little things are touching metal, components, which is very unlikely the graphic card would in this PC setup, then you're okay. But usually it'd be a good idea to sort of chop them off and keep the wires to a factory standard, so they're not sticking out, and these two are not sticking out either. Okay, so let's just inspect it, just make sure that there's nothing dodgy about the connection. I would literally, usually I'd sort of stick it under the microscope. I might do that actually, because I've actually sort of pierced through the PCB with a bit of a pressure, so I hope I've not fucking done anything stupid. So let's just sort of yep, my desk is a complete fucking mess. Absolutely complete fucking mess. But I just go on this microscope and have a quick look through. Just make sure that there's nothing. Looks abnormal. Okay, I'm quite happy with the first one. The two in line with one another, I think I'm quite happy with them two as well. And them two as well. Let me see if I can get you guys a view on it. Do I stand a chance of getting a view on it? Please? Please? Shh, let me. Oh yeah, I do. Yep, it's one of the best microscopes, you know, 3D stereo microscope that you can buy. But to get a view on it, you must be fucking joking me. Such an awesome piece of kit. Unfortunately, you'll be struggling to get a view on it. Is that good enough for you guys? Okay, let me just see if I can get a bit more. Okay, so that'll put me out of focus. So will this. Let me see if I can. Yep, that's as good as it's gonna get. So okay, so that's one pin, and that's the second pin. There you go. Those are the two others, and the third one. You know, as I said, it's an absolutely cracking piece of equipment when you're actually looking through it. When you're trying to set a camera to do all your viewing, it's bullshit. And you know what I think? Vision Engineering, you are simply the best manufacturers for these type of equipments. However, stop being a tight ass and start bringing out full high definition 1080p minimum 60 frame per second cameras built into these devices, because these devices are not cheap. You're paying customers like myself paying thousands of pounds. These lenses are, let alone very expensive, in excess, some of them are in excess near 550 pound. So come on, get a cracking on with it. We're in 2016. I would love to have a 1080p, full 1080p 60 frame per second microscope, so I can, and the visibility is absolutely awesome when you're looking through your eyes. I just don't understand why this particular camera or it could be the camera, but I've done recording through iPhone previously and it sort of captured awesome view, but it might be this camera. But nah, you still need an integrated microscope sort of camera so that you can see what's actually happening. Anyway, going back onto this now, I think the video's going for too long. Okay, so the capacitors have been placed in the correct orientation, and I'll just double check this. Yes, that's correct, and that is in this correct orientation. Usually you'd have white markings to sort of indicate which is negative and positive, but on this PCB unfortunately that is not the case. So I'll give it another quick clean and then put everything back together and test the CAD. All I'm doing is just cleaning the excess flux. I don't like flux hanging around. I just want my PCB to look just as good as new, technically speaking. Right, okay, so 3 caps have been replaced. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's bring the motherboard back up here again. Whoops, almost dropped the video card. And these are definitely fail caps. There's no doubt about it. You know what, just out of interest, let's quickly do a test on these caps. Well, one of them. I'm not going to do all 3 of them because the video is way too longer than expected. Let's turn the device, watch, it'll say date. Oh, it's even hard to, it's even sort of monitoring for components. Come on. Yep, open circuit or low capacitance. Let's retry this. Yep, coming up in the error message. So dead cap. Right, let's bring this back up here again. Hurry up. I need to hurry up. It's getting quite late. Let's connect the hard drive onto the SATA port. Power supplies have gone in. Hard drive's gone in. Video card goes into the slot. Connecting the monitor now. What else am I missing? Yep, power to the hard drive. So we need a SATA. Okay, that's beautifully done. Moment of truth. Let's power this thing on. Oops, I didn't forgot to switch the power supply on. Let's turn this on. Let's see what happens here. Oops. Okay, so here we go. That's where we are with it. Display's on. Let's see if it boots to Windows. Okay, let me just press enter. Sorry. Oh, it won't do because I've literally sort of, just bear with me guys, I've literally sort of disconnected the USB from the back of the motherboard, so I'm pressing the keyboard. Nothing's happening, wondering why that's the case, but that's because I've disconnected the mouse and the keyboard. Oops. Okay, so let's go back on here and see what's going on. Right, there you go. So, okay, fine, I'm not asked about this error message, what I'm getting. Setup will continue after restarting, but at least the display has reappeared. So that's it really. Unfortunately, it's such a sort of a simple process, but it's sometimes you can struggle to get it done within sort of your usual time of 10-15 minutes, but hey, shit happens, unfortunately. So that's that. Try and invest on one of these, as I said many times before. It's a pretty wicked thing. Quite obviously, when you have bulge capacitors, you know it's not necessary to sort of do any measurements on them, because they're open capacitors, they're faulty capacitors. So all you do is just get rid of them and put some new ones in. Hence, sometime even you could have new faulty capacitors. So what I would strongly recommend is to test those capacitors with an ESR machine. And a typical example is what I just did there then. It's not common, but you can come across with faulty capacitors. So anyway, that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and good night.